Hello fellow biogeeks. In my previous videos I talked about other cell organelles like the nucleus, membranes in general, the endoplasmatic reticulum, both the rough and the smooth endoplasmatic reticulum. I talked about the Golgi apparatus, the mitochondria, and finally I will talk about the cytoskeleton. As you can see, the cytoskeleton is like spread throughout the cell. So you can imagine that there are more lines like this. And the cytoskeleton, you can see it as the equivalent of the skeleton of our own body. It holds the cell together. However, I'll talk more about the functions right now. So first of all, we have the movement compartment. So this is actually a amoeba. It's not a eukaryotic cell of the humans. However, some cells in our body undergo what's called an amoeba movement, amoebic movement. This means that some parts of the cytoplasm, like you can see here, like go outwards, and then it will like hold itself onto its surface and like pulls the cell forward. And this way a cell can move in any direction. So we can go this way, and the cytoskeleton is very important in that, to be able to let the cell move over any surface. Secondly, we have cell division. As you might know, during the anaphase, the cytoskeleton or microtubules are important in the cell division. So they will like hold onto the centriole and like some compartments of the chromosomes, and like will help in the anaphase to pull chromosomes out of each other and make two new cells out of one cell. So that's very general, but the cytoskeleton is also involved in cell division. Then, like I said before, like the skeleton of our own body, it's important in support. So you can see this as a cell, and the red, purple, and green are the three types of cytoskeleton that we have. We have the cytoskeleton, and it's divided into three compartments, and it shows this here. And it's important in the support of the cell in general. And then lastly, it's also important in intracellular transport. So I made this very, very beautiful illustration. So the cytoskeleton can like move compartments of the cell from one part of the cell to the other in general. I'll talk about it more later on. So, like I said here, there are three compartments of the cytoskeleton. I'll talk about it right now. First of all, we have microfilaments. And microfilaments are actually just actin proteins. And these are the thinnest part of the cytoskeleton, and they have like the thinnest diameter. And this is often around 7 nanometers, so it's very, very thin. However, because they're still very thin, however, they have important functions like cell motility, cytokinesis, and the maintenance of the cell shape. So like I said before, cell motility is important in the movement of the cell. Cytokinesis is the last part of the cell division, in which the two cells are like still joined together, but like they're so this is cytokinesis, and then at a certain point they will be separated from each other. This is cytokinesis, and these are important in that. And they also are highly dynamic, which means they can rapidly assemble and disassemble in response to cellular signals as well. So this is the general explanation of what microfilaments do. Then secondly, there are the intermediate filaments. And as the name suggests, it's intermediate, which means that their size, or like the diameter, is in between the size of the microtubules, which I'll explain next, and microfilaments. So the size or diameter of intermediate filaments is about 8 to 12 nanometers. They are composed of fibrous proteins like keratins, fimentin, and lamin, but this depends on the cell type. They provide mechanical strength to cells and tissues. So this means that it maintains cell shape and integrity of the cell. They are also abundant in cells that are subjected to mechanical stress. For example, the skin cells and muscle cells. So if there is a lot of stress on the cells, you can imagine that the skin has a lot of stress on it. Every time you touch it, I don't know, you stretch, or muscle cells, because they are important in the movement of the body. They undergo a lot of mechanical stress, and in these types of cells, they are very abundant. So next up, we're going to talk about the microtubules, and these are the largest part of the cytoskeleton. They are 25 nanometers in diameter. It's still very small, but when compared to the other two, it's the biggest. And they are composed of tubulin protein subunits that are arranged in hollow cylindrical structures. And they are, as you can see here, they are used as tracks for motor proteins. So I guess you can compare it to a train, and the train moves over a track. And that's what proteins do. They can use motor proteins. So this is a motor protein, and these use like ATP hydrolysis to move over the microtubule, and it can hold a certain part of the cell, and this way a compartment of the cell can be transported over the microtubule to a certain location where it needs to be. So I think that's actually very interesting, that the cell is that the cell can do this. I find it very interesting. And it's also important in cell division and spindle formation. So the spindle is, maybe I can show you. No, it's not on this picture, but the centriole is important in cell division. So at each side of the cell will be a spindle, and then it's important into protracting its the cytoskeleton to the chromosomes and like pull the chromosomes out of each other so that cell division can occur in general. And lastly, they're important in determining the cell polarity and maintaining the cell shape. So, BioGeeks, this was me explaining the cytoskeleton in general. So it's not too deep, but I think this gives a good overview of what the cytoskeleton is and why it's very important, and we can't live without it. So this was my explanation. Again, I hope it was interesting. You found it fun with these figures, and I hope I explained it well. And if you are interested in getting to know more about biology and getting your questions answered about something that you are learning about in school, but the teachers don't really explain it in a way you understand, I can do that because I'm a student myself. I know how to explain things to fellow students. So if you want a private tutoring session with me where I can explain you, where I prepare it beforehand and I want to make sure you understand, so I will put my best effort in it. If you want to do that, I provide a link to my Fiverr profile where you can order a private tutoring session with me. So thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a great day. Bye, fellow BioGeeks.